mindset change though.
Hmm.
And so
Very much.
for parents who are, looking at this as, can I really do this? And the school, they have those experts. Um, how can I do this as a parent?
Hmm.
So let's address that. How, as a parent, can we say, yes, I can do this, and I might even do a better job than the experts? Because a lot of times they just have their hands strapped, and it's not. I mean, I love those people that devote their lives to helping kids in the
Yes.
schools, and they do an incredible job. It's just the resources are limited, and they have so many
Yeah.
students.
Yep.
So it's really not them. And
Right.
there's so many good tools that so many of them create that they share with parents in the homeschooling community as well, and we
Hmm.
love that. But what's an encouragement then, to parents that, ma'am, I'm not an expert, I'm not a teacher, but can I really do better?
Yes, you can. Because you are an expert in your child. It does not
Yes.
matter how dedicated a teacher
Mm-hmm.
is. And this is coming from a teacher who's, spent time in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how much teachers love those kids,
Yeah.
they will never know them as well as their parents do. There's no teacher your child will ever have who will know your child better than you and will have that
Mm-hmm.
relationship and that history and the same goals and the same passion.
Mm-hmm.
They because it's not their child.
Yeah.
And so when you take that role and say, okay, um, we're taking over, we're bringing this child home, we are going to homeschool, and you put yourself in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
um, it is going to be overwhelming at first. It's going to be, you are definitely going to have those times when you're kind of freaking out and thinking, what in the world did I just take on?
I do.
What was I thinking? Oh
Exactly.
my gosh.
Uh,
But what is so fantastic is that you have the flexibility on those days when you're kind of panicking to say,
mm-hmm.
mental health day for mom. Okay, we're gonna go on a field trip. We're just gonna go to the zoo, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or we're gonna go to the park, or we're not going to go anywhere, and y'all just go have a day.
Yeah,
Like,
we're gonna make cookies. That
yeah,
that was, it's
and so you always have these opportunities whenever things get overwhelming, when things get scary, you can take a step back, you can,
mm-hmm.
hit the pause button and figure out,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what's freezing me up here, what's my
Mm-hmm.
concern, what am I worried about? And
Yeah.
we have amazing organizations like SPED Homeschool, their group on Facebook. You come in, you pop in, you say, y'all, please help. I'm freaking out, about XYZ. And it's like crowdsourcing all these families who know exactly what you're going through, who are going to come and
Mm-hmm.
encourage you and say, no, 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 or oh my gosh, we had the exact same worry. We were so worried about blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah. Here's how we did it. Or yeah, we have that same problem. Here's some ideas.
Yeah.
And then you've got people like Peggy, you've got her staff, everybody that's in there who's going to be able to show you resources and point you in the direction of what you need. There is so much out there. Homeschooling has grown so
Huge.
much.
Yes.
Homeschooling now, compared to even just 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
is so different.
Yeah.
And there are more and more families who are taking their special need kids and bringing them home because they're realizing the school is never going to be able to do everything that they can do at home. And they're never going to have their child's best interest 100% at the front the way that you can at home. And
Right.
because of this, hey, it's supply and demand. So the demand is going up for these resources, for classes, for opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so the need is being met. And so
Mm-hmm.
the things that parents freak out about the most probably turn out to be the things that are not nearly as big of a deal as they thought they would be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You see a lot of the behavior issues go away. I
Yes.
know so many parents that said, I took my child off medication because they didn't have to sit still anymore because we could do school
Right?
under the table while we're bouncing around.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Yes.
yes, you can do those things, and
Yeah.
and then you can also take those breaks. I know we took a long pause when behavioral issues were
Mhm.
the main thing we were working on,
Yep.
and everything else stopped. But yet now, Okay, I have 2 adult males in my house now, and I'm so glad I spent time on those behavior issues because I would be going crazy with this lockdown starting tonight. But you have to project out to those things that school, yes, is important, but it's that whole child. And also what you were talking about, they're focusing on what they do well instead of just their deficits. A lot of times the school will say, this is what the child can't do well, so we're going to put all these resources into catching them up and doing these things, and you can't force that usually.
Yeah. So much of it is developmental, and so much of the time kids just need time. If they just were allowed to progress at their pace, whatever it is. Our youngest has dyslexia, and when we had her first tested at 7, she was labeled as a pre-reader. I mean, she was still at 7. We'd been working with her pretty consistently for about 1.5 years at that point, and she still, there were still letters and sounds that she couldn't match. She couldn't hear differences between certain letters, switching things around all the time. And her tutor was a little horrified, and I was kind of offended. I'm like, well, so sorry, but she's just not ready. Like, what do you expect me to do, So we didn't use the tutor much after that, but then, in fact, at all. And what we found was that her brain just needed big stretches of time to assimilate everything it learned. So we would work for 2 or 3 months on her reading, and then we would stop for like 2 to 4 months. And it wasn't that she wasn't reading, it's just that we weren't doing reading.
New
but
stuff,
she was, but she loves to bake, so she's reading recipe, or we're helping her read recipes. She was playing, she got really big into some video game, and it would, all these subtitles coming up telling you what to do.
Huge, yes.
She had to read those. And every single time we'd come back from one of those breaks, her reading would have improved so much, like just these major jumps. And so then, hey, we're all the way up here now. So then we'd work, and then we'd back off. We'd work, and we'd back off. And
you're reducing that anxiety level, like we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
That you can't keep pressing because the anxiety level will go up, and then that's when learning stops.
Yeah. And if you're constantly being shown what you're not good at, it does not make you feel good. It does not make you, and when you're a kid, like, you don't have necessarily that drive to like, well, then I want to get better. No, you're just like, wow, I totally suck. So why even try? Well, I give up, So
exactly.
As long as you just give them the time that they need and the space that they need. She just turned 12 last week, and she's completely independent now with her reading. She's doing her science. She's reading completely on her own. And we would never have gotten there if I had pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, because that's not how her brain is wired to work. And so when you are able, again, it goes back to that idea of that flexibility and being able to tailor everything to the way your child learns. When you're able to work with their brain instead of having to be on this artificial timeline of, well, by the end of 3rd grade, they have to have this. No, they don't. Grades are completely arbitrary. That doesn't mean anything, Exactly. By the time your child is an adult, okay, they probably should be able to do this,